Hey, what's up, you guys? Hey, on this channel, we talk a lot about insulin and stabilizing your blood sugar, so that way you can become a better fat burner. On today's video, we're gonna be talking about carbohydrates that have the lowest glycemic load and how they optimize your blood sugar stabilization, and so that way you can maintain fat burning and have the best health possible. Okay, so y'all might have heard of a term called glycemic index. Today we're also going to be talking about a term called glycemic load, and you might not have heard of the difference. We're going to be able to define those in just a second, but you've probably heard of me talk a lot on my other videos about stabilizing your blood sugar and how insulin is just the switch to turn on or off fat burning. So when insulin's low for longer periods enough time, your body's going to turn on fat burning. It signals to the body, hey, we need to start burning more fat. But if you're eating too many carbohydrates and keeping insulin high for too long periods, which means that you're primarily going to be using sugar for energy throughout the day. And if you do that too often, most likely you're going to become insulin resistant. And we know that if you're insulin resistant, you're going to store more of those carbohydrates as fat. Now we don't want that. We want to become a better fat burner, right? So here's the thing. We're talking about glycemic load and glycemic index. And glycemic index is just basically how fast those carbohydrates get converted into sugar and into the bloodstream. Now, if we have a massive dump of glucose into the bloodstream, we're going to have a dose-dependent response from the pancreas to upregulate insulin, which means you're going to get the same amount of insulin as the sugar that goes in the bloodstream. Now, if we can minimize that, that would be a good thing. Now, the difference between glycemic index and glycemic load is that there's certain carbohydrates that have a lower glycemic load, and that means that how much of the actual carbohydrates enters the bloodstream. So we know that the higher the fiber and the carbohydrates, the lower amount of glucose is actually going to enter into the bloodstream, and it means that it's going to have a lower glycemic load. So, for example, watermelon could essentially be one of those ones that have a little bit higher glycemic index that enters the bloodstream a little bit quicker, but it actually has a lot of fiber in there, so it has a lower glycemic load, which means the actual amount of sugar that gets into the bloodstream is lower. Hopefully this is making sense. Hopefully it's not confusing you, but here's the thing. To make this all simple, we want to just stick with mainly the carbohydrates that don't put a lot of glucose into the bloodstream or sugar. Glucose and sugar are synonymous, so if you ever hear me use those terms. So essentially we want to eat more of the high fibrous carbohydrates, non-starchy vegetables. Watermelon could be a good source. Now, the ones that are really sweet, the fruits that we have like strawberries and blueberries and things of that nature are going to have a little bit higher glycemic load. There are health benefits. Now, I would choose to eat those maybe around your workouts. It's going to help fuel your workouts, give you a really energetic workout, but not affect your blood sugar too much if you eat those type of carbohydrates around, your workouts. Now, the non-starchy vegetables, I would stick with normally whenever you eat your foods, and if you could, eat those more at the last part of the meal instead of the first. Always try to eat like your proteins and fats, and those things are also going to help digest those carbohydrates a little bit slower, make it into the bloodstream. I actually did a video. I'll go ahead and pop it up right there, or it could pop up right here. Who knows? You never know with these cards. So either one, it might pop up, but I talked about how if you eat fats and proteins first, it slows the digestion of those carbohydrates. You're going to have a slower insulin response, which is going to keep insulin stabilized, and you're going to become a better fat burner. So with that said, hopefully this video helps. We put a lot of information. If there's any particular type of videos that you guys would like to see, feel free to put them in the comment section below. I'd love to look through them. Give me some good ideas of content that you guys would like. With that said, hopefully that you like, subscribe, share, and do all the things, that all the YouTubers tell you to do. It sounds kind of silly all the time because you hear it, but with that said, God bless you guys. Have a great day and peace. Yeah.